For the past several weeks, conservatives have been kicking and screaming over Bud Light's promotional can of beer for transgender entertainer Dylan Mulvaney. Many right-wingers have even pushed for a boycott of the company that normally fuels them, when they're not straight up shooting at it, of course, which is the worst way to get a buzz, I can tell you from experience. But the daddy of the right wing, Donald Trump, has stayed suspiciously silent on the issue. And now we believe we know the reason why. Before we get into the theory for why Trump has abstained from this moronic culture war against what has always been my favorite beer, Bud Light, let's give you a brief reminder of how conservatives have completely lost their minds over this. Because they're bored a lot of the time and they got this kind of time on their hands.
Bud Light and Anheuser-Busch. Have a terrific day.
It's woman face, and what is the stereotype of a woman being stupid? I kept hearing this thing about like March Madness, and I thought that maybe we were all just having a tough month, but I guess it has something to do with sports, and I don't know what sport it is because like girls don't know anything about like sports. So like we'd have never heard of March Madness ever.
You virtue signaling bunch of cultural cuckolds.
I don't care how cold the Bud is. I don't care how hot the Hooters server that is serving it is. A Bud Light or Bud beer or any Anheuser-Busch beer will never again pass my lips.
I'd also like to point out that Kid Rock, who used to drink Bud Lights next to drag queens with them hanging out, had a AR-15 type gun and could only take out 3 out of 5 cases of beer. Just wanted to point that real quick.
He's a real man.
So why has Donald Trump refused to enter the fray and comment on this? After all, he loves nothing more than some good old-fashioned bigotry, right? But there's just one thing he loves more than bigotry, and that's not Tiffany, it's money. It's money. Trump's most recent financial disclosure, get a load of this, shows he holds a significant financial interest in Anheuser-Busch InBev, the company that produces Bud Light. The disclosure form, which is on file with the Federal Election Commission, shows the twice-impeached former president owns between $1 million and $5 million in Anheuser-Busch InBev stock under an account listed as DJT Trust, investment account number 2. That could certainly be also a reason why Mini Orange Menace Donald Trump Jr. has spoken out against the Bud Light boycotts. Take a look at this.
Okay, we've all seen the backlash that Budweiser is facing over the trans marketing scheme. Is this a one-off colossal screw-up or is it something bigger? This could be just the act of one rogue, woke lunatic in a marketing department filled with leftist staffers. The Daily Wire is now reporting that no one at the senior level of Anheuser-Busch was aware of the partnership with Dylan Mulvaney. We looked into the political giving and lobbying history of Anheuser-Busch, and guess what? They actually support Republicans. In woke corporate America, Anheuser-Busch supports Republicans. Last cycle, their employees and their PAC gave about 60% to Republicans and 40% to Democrats.
That guy is so weird. It's unclear if he himself, Don Jr., owns stock in the beverage maker, but it's likely he is at least somewhat aware his father owns the stock through a trust because he was made one of the trustees charged with overseeing it during his father's presidency. If you remember that, Trump, I'm sure, never also checked in with his sons about how that trust was doing. He probably respected that line pretty good.
So what was interesting is that when Don Jr. did this defense of Bud Light, I thought maybe it was like a right-wing movement saying, hey, this is too much. Let's, guys, it's a little embarrassing. We're doing cancel culture here. I mean, we do it all the time, Nike, Keurig. Anytime somebody says, hey, maybe gay people exist as well, we like smash the crap out of our coffee machines, burn our sneakers, etc. They've done all these boycotts. And Joe Rogan had said the Bud Light thing's a little silly. I'm not in favor of this. So I thought maybe it was a trend. But no, when Don Jr. said we shouldn't boycott Anheuser-Busch, all other conservatives rained down on him on social media, etc. And they're like, oh, no, this is outrage. We definitely have to cancel them. We love cancel culture. Don Jr.'s going rogue here, and it's not acceptable. But so now we found out for sure it has nothing to do with any trend or nothing like that. No, they had stock in Anheuser-Busch. Period. That's why he's like, oh, I looked into it, and what I found out was it turns out they're not part of woke America. They're part of our portfolio. Okay, that's what we thought. And I love how he was bragging about, like, no, it turns out they bribe us. So they're a good company. Are they? And if you're wondering, hey, $1 to $5 million, that doesn't sound like a lot for a billionaire. Yeah, that's because Trump ain't a billionaire. For him, like that, it was like investment account number 2. I don't know that there's an investment account number 3. That might be like half his money. Remember, he's been lying this whole time about how much money he has. Like here, by the way, here's a fun prediction. When Donald Trump passes away, whenever that might be, of course, we wish for his good health, okay? Anyways, hey, when that happens, I guarantee you that his entire business empire will collapse instantly, will crater. And people go, oh man, Eric and Don Jr. couldn't run it. No, he's stockpiling debt like there's no tomorrow. That's why he's like, oh, I have a little bit of money in Anheuser-Busch. Don Jr., go out there and be a schmuck and defend them. Hurry up.
And it's worth also reminding everybody that this manufactured, yet again, culture war makes it seem as though Dylan Mulvaney is the new face of Bud Light and is on every commercial campaign, and Bud Light is saying Bud Light is now the beer only for transgender people and those who love transgender people, which would be fine if they did that. But literally all they did was give a commemorative can personally to Dylan Mulvaney as one of hundreds of influencers that the company works with. So literally the right wing is saying transgender people can't be one of hundreds of people that we work with to support our brand. They don't exist even in 1 out of 400 of the people in this country, which would significantly underrepresent the percentage of transgender people that there are in this country as well. The other prominent Republican candidates for president have all spoken out against Bud Light, of course. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis said on the Benny Show that he thinks a conservative boycott of the company could be effective. He added that Anheuser-Busch's work with Miss Mulvaney was part of a larger thing where corporate America is trying to change our country, trying to change policy, trying to change culture. What policy are they changing? What policy? They're just giving a free can to somebody and saying, please promote our product. 2 of Mr. Trump's former allies turned rivals, ex-Vice President Mike Pence and former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, also weighed in on the controversy in favor of boycotting the Brewers' products, with Ms. Haley saying the marketing partnership makes a mockery of women, and Mr. Pence decrying what he described as gender insanity, which continues to poison our public discourse. Of course he feels that way. He doesn't let himself be in a room with a woman.
Unless Mother is there.
Sure, if Mother's there, it's cool.
Yeah, and of course Mother is his wife, which makes it much cooler. So Ben asked, what policy? Well, wait, we haven't been able to pass any policy to protect trans people, but Republicans have introduced over 400 bills this year alone, and we're not that far into the year, against trans people. They're like, can you believe the Democrats, they're gonna legislate about this. Let's legislate though, hundreds of bills at a time, all hatred, all against them, all anti-trans, anti-LGBTQ, etc. Over 400. And then media is like, well, I can't, you don't want to call them anti-gay. Let's call it 50-50. I mean, Democrats introduced 0 bills against trans rights. Then Republicans introduced over 400 in just like 4 months. But I can't tell. I can't tell who's against trans rights. I can't, right? It's a 50-50, can't tell. Anyways, so Now, in terms of the marketing executives and what you should actually think about Anheuser-Busch, it turns out that the people who actually run Anheuser-Busch did not know about the campaign. And when they found out, they were outraged. I'm not kidding. They fired the 2 marketing executives that were in charge of it. They just did that like 2 days ago. They're like, how dare you give a commemorative can out of hundreds of ones that we did to influencers because hateful right-wing pricks found out about it and wanted to hate on her, and you guys accidentally gave them an opening to do that against us, Anheuser-Busch, who just wants to be conservative. Conservative America's awesome. The rest of America is crap. So they fired him. They said, that's it, you're goners for ever daring to support someone who's trans. Well, F Anheuser-Busch. So, by the way, so I'm not gonna do a boycott of them, but you know what? It does piss me off, and no, I'll do my own personal boycott. It doesn't matter, right? But what does matter is great. You morons who run Anheuser-Busch, now you pissed off both sides. And so, and by the way, afterward their sales go down because both sides found out that they, like those guys think that you're not on their side when you actually are, right? And we know that you're actually not on our side because you're like, you fired anyone who would dare support trans rights within your own company. Okay, now your sales are definitely gonna go down. Whereas Nike was like, no, we used Colin Kaepernick in an ad and it was not a mistake. We meant it. And you know what happened to them? Their market cap went up $6 billion because the country is progressive and young people are even more progressive. So Bud Light's a bunch of morons who actually did what Kid Rock did. They did to themselves. They just opened fire inside their own building financially, right? Because they're like, oh, let's choose the hateful side. Let's choose the 1/3 side instead of the 2/3 side. Well played, Anheuser-Busch. And by the way, those morons will then turn around and go, you see that? We should have never supported a trans person even for a second. That's what costs our stock. No, what costs your stock is that your executives are either hateful pricks or cowards. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, we really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.